Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. XRP price has been heating up a bit as over the last 24 hours it ran up to almost 66 cents. After just a couple days ago hitting a low of I think 60 cents or so, which of course resulted in all sorts of cries from people that something was wrong. Something's wrong with XRP. Well, let me tell you, nothing is wrong with XRP. And in fact, there is broad expectation that altcoins are going to be running in the short term, as Bitcoin currently is taking a little bit of a breather after running to over $44,000. And at the time I'm recording this, let's see, what time is it? 4:13 a.m. Central Time, Thursday, December 7th, 2023. We actually did just about 40 minutes ago hit a local bottom where Bitcoin cratered into the upper 42,000s after just being yesterday 44,500 or so, something like that, up to the upper 42,000. Now, this is normal. It's just crypto is wildly volatile. It is what it is. But XRP did move in kind. And I'll show you the charts, and I'm going to share with you perspective, including thoughts from a couple XRP analysts. One of them says that XRP is eyeing a new all-time high. So despite, brief moments of time where things are moving to the downside, we're in bull mode, baby. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, as I record this latest Moon Lambo hot jam, XRP is 63 cents. Bitcoin has popped up a little bit compared to that low that was around 3:30 a.m. Central Time, my time zone. It's now up to 43,215 bucks. And for those of you that care to look at the screen, this is a 24-hour chart of Bitcoin on Live Coin Watch. You can see that Bitcoin price looks like it just fell off a damn cliff, and then popped up pretty quickly. So who knows what it'll be by the time you're watching this video, by the time I actually get this uploaded and published. But I will note, flipping to an XRP chart, it did the same thing. So XRP price had been rising. As soon as Bitcoin went down, XRP just followed. Is what it is. Nothing to be concerned about. And I also wanted to highlight this. So as far as the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, let me say something real quick here. And it's currently at 72 out of 100. So retail speculators, yes, they are feeling greedy. Well, yesterday in a video, I was highlighting various indicators that would lead us to believe that what's most likely is that Bitcoin is topping out around $50,000. So talking about that idea, right? Even if there is a substantial pullback in price. And one metric supporting the idea, which that it wouldn't happen, which I didn't mention yesterday, is the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. As Bitcoin has moved upward the last couple months, we have not seen the index move into extreme greed. So it's hard to believe that this whole rally would be over without that happening first. It's just in greed. We haven't seen extreme greed yet. That would be the first. That would be bizarre. And I also don't see celebrities pushing crypto, which historically is another indicator of a top for crypto markets. And Google searches, as I mentioned yesterday, for Bitcoin are nowhere near the levels seen near previous all-time highs, which means the retail masses haven't even entered the market yet. So, if this is going to be the local top, and some people think that it is, in the upper 48,000s, around 50,000, and then it craters back down, and then we don't see another all-time high, potentially for a year or two or whatever it may be. There are people that believe that that's likely. I've seen analysts share that perspective. And I don't pretend to know for sure what's going to happen, of course. So maybe they're right. But I'll just note here, if that's true, and I don't think that that's the most likely thing personally, but if that's true, it'll just be, I've never seen, and I'm not aware of any instance in history of Bitcoin behaving like this with this kind of rally, price-wise, in terms of dollars in percent, something like this. Or maybe I shouldn't say percent because, with each subsequent cycle, you're going to have less percentage. But certainly in terms of this type of velocity to the upside, I've never seen something like this to where that's it, and we'll just come back in a couple years. I'm just not aware of something like that. Now, if that exists, and maybe I'm just maybe it does exist, and I'm just not aware. Somebody pointed out to me, that's fine. I'm just not. I've never seen a moment in time where that's actually the case. Typically, when there's this type of move to the upside with this much force, it does mean we're actually in bull mode. But the thing that's weird about that, and this is why like this time would actually be different to some degree, is that if this is really it, and we are going to see this is what leads us ultimately into a new all-time high. Say it comes in 2024, if that's when it comes, and a lot of people think that is what's going to happen, as I'll highlight in this video in just a minute. If that is indeed the case, the timing's now off. We're used to 4-year cycles. Well, it was 2021 when we saw a new all-time high, the last all-time high for Bitcoin, close to $70,000. So if it happens in 2024, which is, we're practically there, that's only 3 years, folks. I'm no math wizard, but I'm pretty sure that's just 3 years difference. So we'll see. Either way, it's weird. Like, it would be weird either way. If it craters back down or if we hit a new all-time high, it's just something that's different. But if it does, and look, I think it's plausible that we do continue to see move to the upside. That's what if I had to bet right now, I'd say it's probably going to keep moving to the upside despite massive pullbacks along the way. You should expect those, even if they're over 30%. Like, that's normal, actually, even in bull markets. But man, we'll see what's going to happen. But however long it takes, I'll just say, the altcoins, historically, they're going to follow. And so even though we're probably never going to see something like 2017 ever again where everything popped off, there will be a lot of coins that do follow. And so that's why I feel safer sticking to the larger and mid-cap coins, because I think that, if you just go where there's utility, where there's a belief that these things are going to be for the long haul, that's now where people are more likely to put their money. And so that's where I think things follow. Here's perspective from XRP chart analyst Greg Crypto, and he said, XRP short-term analysis 4-hour time frame. XRP seems to be mirroring its previous price action within a descending channel, or DC for short. And he says here, I'll make this chart full screen for you. This is just XRP USD chart. Well, technically Tether, but it's the same thing. And he says, anyway, check out the chart below to see how XRP is attempting to break out of descending channel B. The next challenge for XRP is to surpass descending channel B to reach fib 0.5. Pay close attention. Fib 0.5 at a price target of 75 cents could be the gateway to a potential move towards $1.30 to $1.50. And so there you go. He's just noting that should that particular threshold get hit, there's not going to be a whole lot of resistance from 75 cents all the way up to $1.30 and $1.50. Then he says, a breakthrough past the 0.5 Fibonacci level hints at upward momentum, signaling a shift from a downtrend to a potential uptrend, instilling confidence. But remember, it's just a part of the broader market picture. Keeping an eye on increasing trading volume and the overall bullish market sentiment is crucial. And separately, there was XRP chart analyst Dark Defender, who was kind of to the point here. He shared this XRP USD chart, and he wrote, I see almost all indicators are green and go. And then he named some indicators on the screen, and some are noted on the chart here. And then he says, XRP is eyeing the new all-time high plus. Rock and roll, baby. And it's worth saying again here, especially after the depression that some people have been feeling, which is kind of silly, because it's not like XRP is even tanking. It's just that XRP is not rocketing to the upside, but Bitcoin has been, and that's enough to depress people. It's like, bro, if you're having a hard time with this, like, you're not going to make it, son. But I'm just telling you, like, this is normal. XRP is operating within normal parameters. There's nothing wacky going on here. And I'll just say, it always seems impossible until one day you wake up and it just happened. That's just how it is. That's part of what it is to be an adult and be patient. That's it. Here's perspective from a very popular crypto analyst named Blunts, 230,000 followers on social media platform X. And he wrote, all I see is people taking profit and warning of impending 10 to 15% pullbacks. Y'all not ready for how far this leg from $36,000 extends. And he's not the only one that thinks this. In fact, chart analyst Credible Crypto, one of my favorite analysts out there, 356,000 followers now, he reposted that and wrote, exactly. You either get it or you don't. And so Credible Crypto, absolutely eyeing an all-time high. And he has been calling for an all-time high for Bitcoin in 2023. I don't know if he still thinks that it's likely since we're at the tail end of the year here, but even if he's off on the timing, he's been a bull. He was even a year ago when almost every analyst and every typical retail speculator under the sun was crying bloody murder and bearish. He went against the grain. Just like, and there are others that do too, like the blockchain back for instance. And then he also posted this. I don't think this run is anywhere close to over. Bitcoin metrics all look very healthy here. That being said, think we get a short pause / breather here. During the periods of time when Bitcoin takes these short breathers on the way up, certain alts should perform well. And he shared that in the morning yesterday, and it was interesting because Bitcoin was moving sideways, and I'm sure you guys are all been looking at your own crypto portfolios. You probably noticed, I mean, I guess depending on what you're holding, but pretty much every altcoin that I hold was up a good bit. 5% here, 7% here, 9% here, 10% there, and then some a little bit more than that. Like Bitcoin started moving sideways for much of the last 24 hours, and the alts did take off. What he thought was most likely to happen, it actually did occur. And fine, right before recording this, like I said, Bitcoin took a little bit of a trip to the downside. At the time of recording this, popped up a bit. And so that did hit altcoins, but directionally, that's what's happened here. So what are we actually going to see here? Because understand, like if you're talking about Bitcoin actually getting into the upper 40,000s, around $50,000, we're not crazily far off from an all-time high for Bitcoin, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a requirement for XRP to hit a new all-time high. I would be shocked if in 2023, it can be next year, 2020, it applies to 24, 25, whenever the next cycle top hits, whenever it is. I would be shocked if XRP hits a new all-time high and Bitcoin didn't first. I think there's almost a 0% chance of that. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it's going to happen. Bitcoin leads the market. Couldn't be more obvious. Always has been that way. Don't know if it will always be that way, but it probably will be for the indefinite future at a minimum here. So we want Bitcoin to hit a new all-time high. If you don't want that to happen, you're a lunatic. If you own any crypto, that's bad. It won't be good for you. So then the question is it going to happen? And if so, when? Well, there's an article here from the Daily Huddle that talks about just that, which I wanted to highlight. They share perspective from one of the analysts I just highlighted a moment ago, Blunt's. And this article is titled, Top Trader Says Santa Claus Rally in Play for Bitcoin Following Vertical Accumulation. Here's his upside target. A trader who accurately called Bitcoin's 2018 bear market bottom believes that the crypto king is set for a Santa Claus rally. Pseudonymous analyst Blunt tells his 230,400 followers on the social media platform X that Bitcoin spent about 38 days consolidating below $40,000 from late October to the end of November. According to the crypto strategist, the consolidation period has allowed Bitcoin to build a base for a strong rally this month. And he said, quote, "We just had a very nice and healthy month-long vertical accumulation on Bitcoin. These sideways corrections build steam for the next leg up, which I believe will take us up to $46,000 plus minimum. Enjoy the Santa rally. Ho, ho, ho." End quote. Very festive and merry and cheery. Although Blunt's is eyeing $46,000 as his minimum upside target this month, he says that Bitcoin will likely not stop there. The crypto strategist believes that Bitcoin is in the midst of a parabolic surge that can take it to as high as $65,000 in Q1 of 2024. Now, folks, that is just shy of the all-time high, which is why a minute or two ago I said what I said. Because if it hits its all-time high, you know what this means for XRP. In fact, even more exciting, if you think back to what happened in 2021, it's, because we don't know where Bitcoin's going to top off. Like, say Bitcoin does top off this cycle. Say it's $150,000. I'm just making that up. But say it's something way higher than its last high. That's more than double, which is good for Bitcoin. You're not going to get a great multiplier effect compared to altcoins anymore because there's just too much money in it. But, if you say that happens, so whether it happens in 2024, 2025, whatever it is, it doesn't mean that we have to wait for that to happen and then XRP goes. That's not necessarily the case. Because in fact, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high last cycle. I don't remember the first day that it happened, but I mean, because look, we know that it topped in November at about $70,000 November of 2021, but I'd actually have to go back to admittedly to look at a chart to see. But when it broke above the previous all-time high of close to $20,000 was way, 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 way sooner. So I can't remember if it actually was the end of 2020. It might have been, or it would have been the beginning of 2021. I'd have to check the chart. Here, you know what? What the hell? Let's just pull it up on Live Coin. Let's just go to the all-time chart. I can get a rough idea of when this would have been here. So let's see here. So it started climbing here at the end of 2020. So maybe it was 2020. Yeah, it looks like it was. Okay. So there you go. So you can see by roughly the middle of December, we had a new all-time high. And so again, we know that, so December 2020, new all-time high for Bitcoin, and then it hit its current all-time high about 11 months later, right? But it didn't mean that you had to wait 11 months to see XRP fall. That's the point that I wanted to make. XRP followed pretty quickly. Because, so once that all-time high had hit, it was until what? Here, I'll pull it up in the chart here since we're doing this. Here's the all-time price chart on Live Coin Watch for XRP. You can see when it started running in 2021. Well, I mean, we had some interesting and good price action in January and February, but then it really started rocketing at the tail end of March. And so you saw most of the action really in April of 2021. And so here you can see it. It says it peaked at $1.62. I actually did see it at $2. And so maybe it was just a wick on the day, because this is probably just the closing price for the day. So that doesn't mean that was all that it was. It did hit $2 for that time period. But so I guess this would have led into May of 2021. So all that to say, when Bitcoin starts going, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to be at the end of the cycle that we start seeing some big moves for XRP. That's the only point I wanted to make here. There's historic precedent for that. Now, XRP didn't hit a new all-time high last cycle, but blame the SEC. It was shackled, as I keep saying on this channel. And we now know that with that being the case, there wasn't going to be a sufficient amount of money pouring in. It just was. But, you know, if you're talking about $65,000 Bitcoin in the first quarter of 2024, how long are we actually going to have to wait to see XRP blast off? And that's why I wanted to highlight all that. Like, I wouldn't imagine that long. Like, you'll start seeing XRP inching up with the rest of the market, presumably, unless it behaves exactly like it did in 2017. But even then, it's more complex than that, because even in 2017, it moved up for a big chunk of the first part of the year, and so it was either April or May. It got up to like 40 cents after being at half a penny at the beginning of the year. But after that, yes, it did kind of trend sideways. But you know, even if 2017 repeats, then we should expect to see some incredible price action, because Bitcoin is hitting new all-time highs, and XRP was blazing to the upside even in the first half of 2017, right? So, you know, we're probably going to see some fireworks for XRP should this occur, and then once Bitcoin actually hits a new all-time high, that's when I'm going to be like, okay. Because I just, until that happens, I don't think that we're going to be seeing a new all-time high for XRP. I just don't believe that that's plausible. Because it would be based on what? If you think that it is going to happen, based on what? I don't see any data that would lead me to believe that's most likely here. And so the quote from Bluntz on this idea was, quote, Bitcoin well and truly going parabolic now. Has all the characteristics of a wave 3 underway. Enjoy the ride, and for the love of God, don't overtrade, end quote. Well, I'll tell you what, you don't have to worry about that with me, because I don't trade. I refuse to trade. I buy stuff and I hold. That's it, for better or worse. Either it goes to zero or I sell it for a fortune. That's it. Works for me. It's been working for over 6 years. I'm not overcomplicating stuff here. So lots of excitement, lots of things to look forward to here. And so even if by the time you're watching this, I don't know what's going to happen, even if Bitcoin craters down to whatever degree, again, it's not going to go up in a straight line forever. I've seen this movie a bazillion times. It's fine. That in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean anything. I'm more curious to see what happens at this inflection point when we do reach closer to $50,000. Is it going to crater back to the downside, as some analysts think? Or is it just going to go rip right on through that? And then we see potentially a new all-time high, sooner than what you would expect if you believe in the 4-year cycle, which historically has been the case. Like, historically, there have been 4-year cycles. Are we actually going to see a new all-time high sooner than that? And then another option, which I didn't get in depth about, but it's pretty simplistic, so I'll just note it here, is that we actually do see a 4-year cycle. It's just that we're in the beginning phases of this. And so this does keep ripping to the upside with, there should be some pullbacks throughout 2024, but then it leads into 2025, and that's when we see it. And if that's the case, fine. Like, if that's the case, and then nothing's broken, and it still is a 4-year cycle, that's certainly plausible. That's very possible. But what I'm having a hard time believing is that what's most likely is after we get close to $50,000, everything goes to the downside. And I know that based on some people's interpretation of what's going on in the charts, that's what they think. But then I look at everything else. I look at all these other metrics like I talked about yesterday and today. So this will be the time where we see this type of vertical move for the price of Bitcoin. and we don't see retail come in, and we don't see extreme greed, we don't see any of this stuff, we don't see the celebrities coming in, and it still craters to the downside despite this dramatic move to the upside. Okay, I mean, sometimes crazy stuff happens, but I have a hard time believing that's what's most likely at a minimum. I mean, you guys tell me what you think. I'm not some sort of wizard. I'm just a dude like all you out there. I'm just a guy on the internet. So my opinion's worth no more than yours, but we gonna find out together. And it's a fun ride. It's definitely a fun and interesting ride. You know, you can't call this boring, I'll tell you that. Let me know what you think, but I'll go ahead and wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.